Hello and welcome to TCG Buzz. My name is Jacob, and I'm joined, as usual, by the wonderful Rhydon Vasse, aka Speed Robo of Speed Robo Games.
Oh my gosh, I'm wonderful?
For now,
Okay.
depends on how you behave.
It's good to be here. It's good to be here as always. And joining us today, we've got Kevin with us.
Yo, what's up, guys? How you doing?
It's good to see you here, Kevin. Always good to chat with you. Let's get right into today's topic. Jacob, I know that this is one that's near and dear to your heart.
So this is one of those episodes that I just need to get out of my system. I just need this out here because I've talked about this on the podcast before, but I am a unironic Reddit mod. I run the TCG subreddit. Very popular, very cool. You guys should check it out if you're not there already. There's lots of cool stuff going on over there. A lot of the job of being a moderator is very repetitive, dealing with the same spam over and over, dealing with stupid AI posts, right? Of bots posting AI slop all the time, right? Dealing with people shilling their whatnot streams. It's really annoying, right? But also there are just a lot of patterns. You get asked a lot of the same questions, a lot of the same conversations happen over and over in the community. That's natural for any community of a larger size, right? How many times have I waded through the discourse on whether or not AI is good in games, right?
Oh, I've seen it happen unironically 5 times.
Feels like 1,000.
It's probably closer to 1,000.
So by far the most talked about thing, most asked question in my community, I get this, I'd say an average of once every other day, right? You figure I'm getting this exact question maybe 1 to 200 times a year. So it is always in my feed, always in the list, always getting talked about, often with a lot of the same responses. And it's a very interesting question. And it's so simple. Hey guys, what TCG should I play?
Yeah. I see that question a lot, and it's the kind of question that is really hard to answer. Like, especially if the person asking it brings no context. It's like, well, not like I always say, not every game is for everybody. But who I really want to hear from on this is Kevin, because Kevin plays and dives really deep into games, probably more than anyone else that I know. So Kevin, have you ever seen this question before, been asked this question before, and how do you handle it?
It's a mind-boggling question, dude. It's a mind-boggling question because on one hand, it's not a dumb question, right? We all want to know what's in for TCGs right now, but if you saw the last episode of the podcast, you can see that there are hundreds of dead trading card games, right? I mean, there's so many trading card games that exist. You probably could not try all of them in your lifetime because you have to go through the entire back catalog of hundreds of dead TCGs and then the dozens of new TCGs that are coming out in Kickstarter, GameFound, all of that today. There's just too many card games to play. But on the other hand, the answer to this question is actually not going to be saying one particular game that you should play. Rather, it should be a mindset you have in how you prioritize what kind of trading card games to play and what makes sense for your lifestyle.
So true, so true. And generally, when I do answer those questions, which I actually haven't answered them in a while, I've kind of let the community take over handling that job because I simply don't have enough hours in my day to answer it all the time. But generally, when I do answer that question, I don't recommend specific games. I instead talk about the ways to find games that are right for you. And that's definitely what we're going to be doing today. We're not going to just list out, have you played this game? You should play this game. You should play that game. And you will see a lot of that, not only in, forums and social media, but also, there are so many. I'd say one of the most popular forms of like video content is, hi, I am person who likes card game. Let me do a tier list of all the card games. Right. And I've done one of those before, and I'm probably going to do it again. They're not a good resource for actually finding out what games you should play.
But they're terrible for that, frankly. Like yeah. No, don't look at tier lists, guys. That's never gonna help.
Tier lists aren't actually about what is most quality. It is about someone's personal biases. I made one years ago. In fact, I'll probably link it in this video because it was bad, as most things I used to do were. But I think at some point on this podcast we're going to do a new one, and it's going to be with so many disclaimers of this is not a ranking of what is quality in the TCG industry. This is just what we vibe with versus don't, right?
Yeah, and it's just for fun. Tier lists are fun, not fact.
Agreed. So as Jacob said, though, we have to remember that, like with tier lists, all recommendations from any source, including us, we're all going to be biased. No one in the TCG community is going to be purely objective. There is a very good episode by TCG Buzz in the past, and there was a comment on the episode saying that TCG players are tribalistic. And I actually agree with that comment. If you play TCGs, you're going to typically stay within one TCG, and that's the unfortunate truth. If you recommend someone another TCG that's not your primary TCG, it can, in a sense, feel like you're losing out on a potential supporter for your game. And we do not want our card games to die. Card games matter to us, the communities, the products, the dreams of the card game. So because of that, you, the viewer, you need to use your brain and understand that you cannot just take recommendations from everyone on the internet or even your friends or people like us. You have to be skeptical and think, well, why do I want to pick this card game? And is this card game going to fit, again, my lifestyle and who I am?
Right. Like, it takes so much of your life, of your mental bandwidth to play one game. TCGs are a lifestyle game. They take up a lot of time, they take up a lot of energy, and you really can only dedicate yourself to one or two. I've done it in the past where, I was actively playing 4 or 5, right? And, really following them. And that just leads to like crazy burnout. So I would not recommend that, which is why making that choice is so important. And I'd like to get into some of these skills you can use before you're posting on Reddit saying, hey, random people on the internet, what should I play? To kind of narrow that decision down for yourself. So instead of just going, what TCG should I play? And it's everyone in the comments going, yeah, you should play my game, the one I like. You should play this game that I'm super passionate about that actually doesn't fit your needs whatsoever. Or even worse, literally, you should play my game. There are very few things I like less to see than when someone generally asks, hey, what TCG should I play? Or even if they have specific requirements, like I'm looking for this, and people go into the comments and shill their own like indie games that they've made that don't fit those requirements.
Yeah.
Oh, do I not like that?
I want to jump in and talk about that specifically, as I am a game designer and publisher, as you all know, and nothing will make me cringe into my own rectum harder than seeing another indie game designer think that that is a good way to market their game. And believe me, I understand the temptation. It is hard to find opportunities and times that are correct to talk about your game. But if somebody is asking for game recommendations and they are clearly interested in playing a high variance dice based war game, don't recommend your Pokemon clone, dude. That's not the right place and not the right time. You can recommend the game you make if it is obvious that it is an actual good recommendation for that player. An example of this that I have actually done in the past to market a game that I was working on is with Legacy's Allure. When we were looking for more people to try out the game and give us honest feedback on the game, we actually went to Board Game Geek and looked at other like diet war games, things like Skytear or For the Crown. And we actively sought out people that reviewed those games and reviewed those types of games and directly asked them, hey, are you interested in taking a look at our game and letting us know what you think? Because based on all of these things that you've said and reviewed, we do think you would like it. That's like appropriate time and place versus, oh man, I really want a cute family friendly game. Oh, have you tried my game, Zombiegeddon, Revenge of the Gut Killer? It's like, find when people are asking for it and don't shill your stuff when it's not appropriate, please.
And also, I think generally when people are asking, hey, especially for TCGs, right? And I guess for other genres that take a lot of commitment, like war games or tabletop RPGs, when people are asking for recommendations, I think that comes with an expectation generally from that person of a big game. We're all indie nerds here. We love indie card games, right? But the vast majority of people aren't looking for that as their first big game they're getting into, right?
Correct.
They're looking for the thing that everyone down at the LGS is playing.
Right. They're looking for a community. They don't want to build one. And I think that actually flows into one of our first tools that you can use when looking for a new game. And it is figure out what just what people around you are playing. Like genuinely just go to your local game store without any deck in hand, no product, and just scout out the area and talk to the owner of the store and ask, hey, what do people play here? And that's going to be a really good way to figure out what game you should be playing, because it's no fun to get really into a game and want to play a game and no one around you wants to play it and you don't have any friends that want to play it. And I think that a lot of times people who are even asking this question of what TCG I should play, maybe they don't have a lot of friends. Maybe they're looking for new friends. And genuinely a good way to get those new friends is show up to your LGS on Yu-Gi-Oh! Night and just be like, hey, I want to try Yu-Gi-Oh! Can somebody here help me out? And I guarantee you, the store owner can, the community leader can, and the vast majority of the local players there will be excited to teach you, get you into the game, offload their bulk onto you, by the way, because they don't want it, and you're a new player, so it will help. And just get you started, And so I think that's the first tool you've got in your arsenal to figure out what game you want. Just go to whatever store is closest to you and ask who's playing.
100% agree with that. We have to understand, and this is a very, very, very hot take here. Okay, I'm going to say very hot take. The games don't actually matter, guys. Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't matter. The indie games don't matter. Magic doesn't matter. Force of Will doesn't matter. These games don't actually matter. What these games are is they are a vehicle to get people in front of each other in a room, speak face to face, no AI, no computer, no phone, interact, and then eventually, hey, how was work today? Oh, it sucked, man, and just have that kind of conversation. What TCGs do better than board games, role-playing games, and even video games, in my opinion, is to just get people into that space, into that room, and interact. So, with interaction in mind, it's always going to be your best idea to find trading card games that people are already playing, or those local communities, as Rhydon said, are already playing. But I'll also say be careful with those local communities because, occasionally some communities can be toxic, but in general, I would say 90% plus of the time, any local card game community is going to be very welcoming because let's be honest, like we mentioned beforehand, TCG communities are tribalistic. They want more people, especially those smaller communities. They want more people. The bigger card games like Magic, Flesh and Blood, even Lorcana, they're not struggling as much to find people usually. But those indies, those indie card games, they want more people because no one's playing.
So, Kevin, you said something Man, this is why I love hanging out and talking with you, because every time you open your mouth, you say this like amazing nugget of wisdom in a single sentence. That's like, yeah, that's exactly what I've been trying to say, but you condensed it and said it perfectly. The game itself doesn't matter, and you're so correct in so many ways. And that kind of leads me into the second point I wanted to bring up here is because, in many ways the gameplay is in some ways the least important part. If there's a particular IP that you really, really like and it has a card game, give that a shot. That's probably going to be a good game for you. If you're a huge Dragon Ball fan, you are going to have a blast grabbing your little baseball cards of your two shirtless men and slamming them together like action figures. That will be a good time, guaranteed.
Finding games based off of IP is good, and just generally what is actually played at your local game store is good. And one of the biggest hacks to this is finding your local game store's shepherd. Every game that sees consistent play at a local game store has one. One person out there who has more time or money than sense, and all they care about is getting people into their cool card game, right? They will help you. They will give you those cards. They'll give you that starter deck. They'll help you learn how to play. I would really expect to see someone of that type for like at least the top 3 games played at each local game store, right? I know, Kevin, you are a shepherd for like your area and the people you play with. It's generally you bringing games to your friends and being like, hey, come play this game with me, right? What is the experience of that like from the other side?
So that's actually a very good term, shepherd, huh? I never thought of it that way. I wouldn't say I'm a shepherd for my local community per se, because I'm not actually loyal to one game store. I tend to visit a lot of game stores. I'm very privileged because in California where I live, there's like 10 game stores within an hour driving distance. There's so many game stores, and they all have a niche. They all have a community. I try to support each game store, like Dragon Shields here and there, singles here and there, just whatever. But in general, I do most of my playing at the kitchen table with usually the same group of 4 to 6 people. It used to be more people in the past. I used to be that shepherd for game stores, and I used to say Keyforge. At one point, I had 20 people weekly Keyforge tournaments. That was not even just like cash money. It was just, hey, let's go play, $10 a sealed deck, let's play. That's probably my biggest achievement as like a shepherd community organizer. It sucks in a lot of ways, to be honest with you. Like, building a TCG community is really hard. It's, I have a whole video about that topic in my channel. You guys can link and check out, by the way, on how to build a TCG community.
The link is in the description. You need to go watch it. If you aren't subscribed to Kevin, you're a dummy.
Appreciate that. But TCG communities, it's really hard to make them, It's very esoteric as a topic, very complicated. People in general are going to be adverse to trying new things. And of course, as mentioned last episode, with Tulane's, good guy, they are very expensive. So how are you going to convince the average person to play the card game? General rule of thumb, I would say, is a lot of people think, okay, so I can just go to a game store, twiddle my thumbs, and then every once in a while, in an hour or so, someone will come in, and then, yeah, I would love to learn Flesh and Blood, and then you teach them for an hour, and then you make them part of your community forever. That is not how it works. People do not want to learn new stuff. The key is people who don't know you don't want to learn new stuff. But people who you do know, who are your friends, who are loyal to you, the person, those are the best people to actually get into building that TCG community. And of course, those are the people who want to actually learn the card games you actually care about. So being a shepherd in that sense, like, you can be a shepherd in 2 ways. You could be that, game store shepherd. I'm taking care of my Lorcana community and my Magic community. I care about my popper format and Magic, like whatever. You can be that shepherd for the store, and that's a lot of work. It's basically a part-time, full-time job, honestly. Or you can be that shepherd and be like, hey, guys, here are these card games I want y'all to play because they're awesome, and let's have a good time. So there's a bit of diversity in that community organizer element, you know?
Absolutely. And that's really good insight. And I just want everybody listening to know, Kevin is dead on balls accurate, because I've also done this rodeo before, even professionally, during my time as a regional head judge for Bushiroad. Because you better believe running those regionals is just it's community shepherdism the whole time. And it's tough. I got burnt out on it real quick. But Kevin, I do want to fist fight you a little bit, because you said something that's wrong about yourself. You said you're not a shepherd. I disagree. I have watched you bootstrap cryptid camp tournaments in your kitchen with no support from the company, bro. If that's not being a shepherd for your game, I don't know what is, dude.
That's a fair point. So the reason I'm not a shepherd in a sense, and I like the term, is because I'm not necessarily, for me at least, I'm not actually growing these card games to strangers.
Gotcha.
Right?
Okay, that's fair.
So
That's fair. I see where you're
yeah,
coming from. I see where you're coming from
yeah,
now.
yeah. So you guys know, you guys went to Origins, Gen Con, right? You have a whole videos about that on the Speed Robo. You guys been to both, right? So the more of the shepherd move, in my opinion, is actually, hey, let's sit down at a table. We've paid money for this booth, and let's go teach people how to play. Is that easy, guys? Is that easy, Jacob? Like teaching people your game, say Junk World or whatever?
It's a skill. And I'll say I've always been pretty good at teaching games to people. It is a skill. Maybe we have to do a full episode on how to teach people how to play games, because there's a lot of things to it.
Yeah.
But it is one thing that came very naturally to me. Like, I remember, as a kid, I was so excited to teach people around me how to play, standard 52 card deck playing card games, right? It's something I enjoy doing, teaching people new experiences.
I would love to do a full episode on how to demo games, because that's a skill that I've built up over the years, and I think I am like a solid 6 out of 10 at it. So I'm the perfect guy to do a podcast episode on.
That's the way you podcast, baby.
Woo!
I know a little bit about this thing. Let me present myself as the top expert in the world.
You know it. But I mean, if we're talking about demoing games, not even like demoing the game that you made, but something that I think is important to find out what game you want to play is to just demo a bunch of games. And you can do that really easily with Tabletop Simulator digitally. Most games out there either have an official or fan-made Tabletop Simulator mod, and just like go to the TTS workshop, look up the different tags that you think might interest you, and just scroll through it. And if like a thumbnail catches your eye, hit subscribe, pull it up on TTS, and just look at the components and cards. And if it looks cool to you, give it a spin.
And also, not every game has this. Particularly bigger games, though, will have their own dedicated digital clients, which can be an excellent way to find out, is this game for me? Whether it be like, whenever I've talked to someone who's like, I want to get into Magic, but I don't know how, the answer is always, always, first thing you do, download Magic Arena and play through the tutorial, because it is excellent to get you up to speed with the game, right? A lot of games have some version of that. Some of them are less user friendly for new people than others. But off the top of my head, you can play Yu-Gi-Oh online really easily. You can play Pokemon really easily through they've got two different versions. You've got the more traditional version of the game online, but you also have Pocket, right? You can play Alestrals online. It's got a digital client. Like, there are tons of games out there that have digital clients. Give them a shot. The big thing we're trying to stress here is you should play a game whether it be locally with someone you know who is already into that game, or on Tabletop Simulator, or on a dedicated client, or even printing out some cards for the game and just diddling around with them on your kitchen table. You should do some form of that before you start spending money on a game. Because what happens when you want to rip open those booster packs and then you realize, oh, actually, I don't vibe with this at all, and you've wasted your money?
Yeah, I completely agree with that, and especially since we're talking about specifically TCGs here. Board games are hard to do print and play with. TCGs are super easy to do it with, and I cannot recommend just trying that, just doing it enough. And in fact, I know several TCGs that have like official print and play. Shout outs to my friends over at Chronocore. Love those guys, and I actually had people at my game store say, "Hey, I know Chronocore isn't like out yet. I think it's coming to distro next month. But we want to try the game. They have print and play on the website. You've got a printer in the back. Can you just like make that happen?" And I was like, "Sure." Boop. And I had people in my store, giving Chronocore a spin that day.
100% agree with a lot said. I do want to play devil's advocate on a point, though. On Tabletop Simulator, Little Bit, and other digital clients. And before I talk, I will say I love Tabletop Simulator. That thing carried me in my career with Metazoo as an R&D director for playtesting.
Quick. How many hours
go
do you
ahead.
have in Tabletop Sim? Let's compare.
All right. We got
God,
dick
here we
measuring
go.
contest, everybody.
All right.
Okay.
Here we go.
All right.
I think I'm going to be beat here.
I'm probably going to blow you guys out of the water.
I will go first. I'll go first. I have the least probably. 2,206 hours. That's it.
Jacob?
I only have 1,025.
You gotta
second
pump those
place?
numbers up. I'm at 2,557.
Oh, okay. You're not like that much higher than me.
I'm not like that much higher. Again, the
Combined,
reason
we have spent over 5,000
Yeah.
hours playing Tabletop Sim.
Dude, the reason why Kevin, you and our numbers are similar is because we were both R&D for card games.
Yeah, we were R&D for card games.
Sorry for derailing your point there.
No,
but-
yeah. Hey, Kevin, you were calling us stupid, smelly dum-dums, I believe. That's where we were.
No, I was calling all of us stupid, smelly dumb,
That
including myself.
is true. That's valid.
That's true. And Tabletop Simulator is awesome. And also, again, using it to browse new card games is a very smart idea. But there's a couple caveats to understand. First of all, Tabletop Simulator is not actually playing card games. It's simulating playing card games. The true experience of card games, I feel like a boomer for saying that, but the true experience of card games is actually sitting down at a table, any table, kitchen table, LGS, and actually playing, because you're not going to get that human interaction, the shuffling of cards, the tactile of cards, the opening of booster packs, all that stuff. You're not going to get that on the Tabletop Simulator. Use Tabletop Simulator to check out card games, to browse, and also to play some intro games. And also use Tabletop Simulator to play in online tournaments. There's a couple online tournaments for Shardbugs and in Chronicles of Arcane I'm going to be playing in. So I do use Tabletop Simulator for that. But I don't think it should be used as a primary method for casually consuming games. It should be used for browsing, checking out games, obviously R&D playtesting. It saves a lot of time playtesting. So it's really good for that. But the other caveat too is it costs $20. I know that's not like a ton of money, but that alone could make people adverse to it. Let alone the other point of Tabletop Simulator is not everyone is good with technology. There's a case study I have with a competitive player in my Chronicles of Arcane team, and this person is on the older side. I won't say their age, but they have a hard time using Tabletop Simulator. And they are on that older side. I think there's a bias we have in this call because I think all of us are under 40, right? Like less than 30, 30-ish.
I'm 79 years old.
There we go. So you got 79 years old. So we have to understand
79 years young.
Don't just shut up, Jacob. Shut up, Jacob.
No, but you're so right about that. Tabletop Simulator isn't necessarily the most approachable thing for both of those reasons. I've been at points in my life where $20 is a lot of money, right? I've had times where I couldn't afford that. That is absolutely valid. And the counterpoint would be there are other free options to play, but the counterpoint to that is most of those don't have support for most games, right? And on the technology side, very true. Even if you are someone who is technologically literate, there is still a learning curve to Tabletop Simulator. There are lots of hotkeys and, okay, how do I actually turn this card? How do I draw 3 cards instead of 1? Why is everything hidden behind a right-click menu, right? That we have all become quite accustomed to. So that is very valid, absolutely true. But it's still an option.
Yeah, and I want to piggyback off of something else Kevin said, because Kevin brought up, hey, Tabletop Simulator is just simulating the actual experience of playing. Yeah, as a designer, that's something else you need to keep in mind, and this is again a bit of a side tangent, but I've worked with designers on their games that just did everything through TTS and never bothered to make the physical one, and I distinctly remember for one specifically, I told the guy flat out, I'm like, yeah, this works on TTS, but playing this physically is going to be a waking nightmare because you had to set up the game board using cards, and then you placed cards on top of those cards and moved those cards along the spaces made out of cards, and then you had damage tokens that you had to put on top of the cards that were on top of the cards, and then you could have multiple cards per space, and keep in mind, each space is only the size of a card. That's not going to go well. So that is another concern with Tabletop Simulator, and Kevin is completely correct.
That's actually a whole video I wanted to make on my channel. Maybe I don't have to make it
Yes.
now because you just said it. But 100% correct. It's almost like Gloomhaven should have been a video game first and not a board game, right?
Please, dude. As good as Gloomhaven is, playing it physically is like slamming a hammer into my left thumb repeatedly, dude. It's like it's just I just wish it was a video game. It's so much better not physical. It really is.
Okay, I am going to say though, with how much of a pain it is to set up these big complicated board games, these BGG calls it 5 out of 5 complexity games,
Mhm.
There is that market for those inserts to save time. There's a whole new niche that came up in the tabletop space with just board game box inserts to save time. And people have fun building these little wooden inserts or now 3D printing their inserts. It's really fascinating.
Yeah. Oh man, this is a whole we're on a whole side tangent, but I totally agree. And to an extent there is fun to be had in having all of these little chits and bits and cards and baubles all kicking around. Like I was just at one of my super good friends' weddings, and what we did for his bachelor party, and this was the one thing we did all night, is we played one game of Dead of Winter. That was it. And I was
Just
like, that was
one.
the whole night. Just one.
How long is a night?
You know, hours and hours and hours. It was a good game. I made sure that everybody died.
Well, that's good.
Yep. Everybody was pissed. Sorry, where were we?
Yeah, I do want to go back to the main topic of what games you should play overall. So, in my opinion, I think this is the general consensus. You should play what your friends are playing first. And there's a reason why that is. If your friends are already playing a card game, they can teach you the game. You don't have to convince your friends to play your card game because they already play the game. It's also the cheapest way to play card games. I guarantee you can just borrow decks and cards from your friends. Make a cube with your friends. Draft some cards with your friends. Do some pre-con games with your friends. Playing with your friends is the best way to go play a new card game. Play the games your friends are already playing. And if you don't have friends, get friends. That's the honest answer. You got to get some
That's the
friends.
hardest part, though.
Yep.
But no, it's kind of like how with video games, you know, if all of your friends are PC gamers, it's probably not a good idea for you to go out and buy a PS5 as your primary platform, right? Or vice versa, or God forbid an Xbox, right?
Yeah.
You know, if all of your friends exclusively play games on Nintendo Switch 2, it doesn't make sense for you to necessarily buy a Steam Deck if you're looking for multiplayer gaming. It's the same concept, which really gets down to the core issue here, which is the number one thing you need to do when you're going, oh, there are so many card games out, you know, maybe I haven't played a TCG in 15 years, but there's so much popping off and I need to know what to get into, is setting out what your needs are. Are you looking for something you can play at the local game store? Are you looking for something that you can play online? Are you looking for something that has a Discord server with hundreds of people you can argue with about what is actually tier 0? What are you looking for? Are you looking for a game with a bunch of shiny cardboard that you can flip for a profit? Are you looking for a game that just has a bunch of big boobed waifus?
You know I am.
Not my preference, but
No
hey,
shame. No
if
shame.
that's your number one thing, find a game that has that.
Yeah, no, Mr. Force of Will poster behind him in every single shot. Yeah, guilty.
You know, before you start asking what trading card game should I play, you should be asking what do you actually want. You need to know yourself before you know the market.
Mm-hmm. No, I completely agree. And I mean, on that note, that's kind of it. Those are the two things that you need. You need friends and you need to know what you're looking for. And from there, finding a game is actually pretty easy. Um, Now, guys, I know we said we weren't going to recommend games this episode, but what if we did? What games would you recommend? What are you into right now? What would you recommend playing?
Yeah, like a super unbiased recommendation of a game, right? Totally no biases here from any of us.
Yeah, zero.
Yeah, breaking all the rules that we just set out. Guys, I'm telling you right now, stocks are up, stonks are up. The only game you need to be playing right now, and I'm not choosing this totally arbitrarily, because it's what I feel like in the moment. Grand Archive. It's a cool game, it's got cool art, and I really like its resource system. That's all I have to say.
Grand Archive's dope. My pick is actually Massive Verse. Right now, shit's kind of wacky out there in the world and the economy. People don't have a lot of time and a lot of money, and that's why Massive Verse is for you. It is $20 for 8 decks, and the game is 5 minutes long. And I'm telling you flat out, I have not had this much fun with a card game in a long time. I am game designer envious of Massive Verse, and you should play it.
It's been on my radar too, by the way. That game looks pretty good. Pretty good. And it has art by Image Comics, you know?
Yeah, any game that you can get into for such a low cost of entry is something that appeals to me. I am broke.
Yeah, God,
You know, I think we all are in these times, right?
Yeah.
You know, that is a big appeal. And that is also something to consider is, hey, what games are expensive to get into versus cheap, right?
Kevin, what's your
100.
pick? I want to hear from you.
My pick, well, you know, I play a lot of card games, not as much as some people, but decent amount of games. Myriad. Myriad is a game by my friend Dangerboat, aka Justin. Basically, only a few people play this game. It's so new, you have to go direct message Dangerboat on his Discord to get some packs. Hopefully, he'll fix that soon. In my opinion, it's the best card game I've played all year, hands down. I mean, a couple games come close. I love Necromancers a lot right now. I mean, it's probably my second favorite game this year, honestly. But Myriad, it's number one. You only need one pack to play to try it. You can do literally a pack battle. It's fantastic to cube for. It's very balanced. I will say I helped him balance the game a little bit. did a little bit of pro bono R&D work, but I'm not a staff for the game. I just helped them out, consultation and game balance. But the game is amazing. It's you have to play it. It's the best game to cube right now for indie games. One pack battle, lots of comeback mechanics too. Lots of comeback. That's one more good thing about this game. You can come back from behind really easily, unlike a lot of card games where you feel like, how am I going to come back? The game has multiple built-in comeback mechanics, so super fun. Check it out, Myriad.
Yeah, Myriad's been on my radar since you pointed me on it. I've just been so busy that it's been a bit since I've managed to like check in. But yeah, Myriad looks dope. I think that's a great pick.
So I want to end this episode by just laying out here, it is not wrong to ask for advice on what games to play. And we're not criticizing people who, are getting into things and just don't know what they're getting into yet, right? It's just our two messages here, if anything, are be smarter about how you ask what games you want to play. Know what you're looking for before you get into them, and try out games before you buy so you don't get burned. The only people we're actually shaming here are people who recommend their own games when it's not appropriate. That is the only one getting fire here.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Agreed. And guys, again, there's this thing on Reddit and other discords called a search bar. You can just search, the same question you have and see what people said years ago, a month ago, today have said on that question. Please use the search bar to look up your questions on card games, ruling questions, all of that. It exists for a reason.
The world if people searched up their questions before they asked them.
God, yeah, dude, the search bar is like the internet forum equivalent of the blinkers on your car. They're there, you should use them, but I know you don't.
True. It's true.
And with that, thank you all for watching. Jacob, it's your show. You want to sign us out?
I want to say thank you so much for joining us, Kevin. If you want to give a quick pitch to the type of stuff you do on your channel. I know we're both big fans of your videos. You want to talk about that for a minute?
Sure. Appreciate you guys having me on. Kevin Cracks Cards is my username. I talk about topics in card games nobody talks about, or at least very few people talk about. So you can check me out there. I'm an indie card game advocate, card game design advocate. I was the R&D director at Metazoo, one of the 5 of them, whatever they are, for like 2 years almost. So I got some game design experience, and I know a little bit or two about playing, making, and talking about card games. So check out my channel. Still growing, but I got a cool community with these guys included. So hear me rant about card games and maybe learn something.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. We have so many other ideas for episodes. Seriously, my head's exploding with 16,000 episodes. But if you want to add to that dumpster file that is my folder of ideas, feel free to leave a comment down below and tell us what you'd like to see us cover next time.
Absolutely. We'll be back. Kevin will be back. Jacob will be back. And we actually have a ton more friends that'll be joining us for future episodes as well. It's been genuinely a dream come true to be a part of TCG Buzz, and we're going to keep it going for a long, long time.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jacob. And of course, Rhydon as well.
Yeah, see you guys next time.